us some toads!
Hey there toy collectors, I'm back again today to take a look at the Boss Fight Studios Bucky O'Hare Mimi LaFloo figure. This is a character that was never released in the original line, and there wasn't even a prototype for it, I don't think, so this is a completely new character, and it's great to see a new character in the line, especially one that's reasonably significant to the franchise. And you see the packaging here, it's very much like the vintage style packaging. The card back is exactly the same size as the vintage toy card backs, but with this card back you can slide it out and reseal it if you want. You don't have to rip anything. So as you can see there, the clamshell just slides off, and you've got some nice artwork there of Mimi, and then on the back, once again a very vintage style card back with the artwork and other figures in the line, and the profile down there. There's the profile if you want a quick read of it, if you want to just pause there. A close up of some of the comic book artwork, and I've always really liked the artwork in the original few issues of the Bucky O'Hare comic. And you've just got other figures in the line there as well. And here she is out of the packaging, and one thing I want to say right off the bat is that sadly when I took her out of the packaging for the first time, her arm snapped at the left elbow as soon as I tried to move it, and I was pretty delicate with it because she's a thin figure, and I'm used to handling collectible action figures, but the arm just snapped straight away with little effort. And I know at least one other person online has had this problem. I saw them post a photo of it, and they basically said the exact same thing, that as soon as they took her out of the packaging and tried to move the arm, it snapped. Now I've let Boss Fight Studios know, and they are sending me a new arm to replace it, so it's really good of them that they're doing that and that the problem is being solved. But that is something to be wary of when you take her out of the packaging, that those arms are pretty delicate, so maybe you want to heat them up a bit or something first, just to and be very, very gentle when trying to move that arm, because it seems to be the left arm specifically, for some reason that elbow joint can snap quite easily. Now first up we'll look at some articulation. Obviously I can't move the arm at the elbow there because I've actually super glued that just so that I could still take some photos of her, so I can't move the arm at the elbow there. But the elbows swivel as well as bend, so I'm going to be real delicate doing this. They'll swivel out. The wrists will swivel and they're detachable. There's a swivel at the waist, so you can move her around at the waist there. The head obviously is on a ball joint and we'll move around. You can spin that all the way around. Let's take a hat off. The legs go out to the side, and there are little slits in the side of her jacket there, so that doesn't really hinder the articulation too much. You can't get her doing the complete splits, but you can get her legs wide enough, and they go forward and backwards. And once again, the skirt does inhibit that a little bit, but they'll go forward and back enough that you can get poses, but you won't be able to sit her down. We've got anything to sit her in, unfortunately, because we don't have any play sets. The knees bend and have a swivel, and the ankles will move forward and backwards and swivel as well. It's the swivel at the knee. And the tail also swivels round and goes out, but that does cause balance issues. The tail is really best used to help stand her up, just like with Jenny that was released. The tail was great for helping to stabilise her. Though this one has a better balance than Jenny did, because Jenny had that huge head sculpt that really weighed her down backwards, that Mimi doesn't. Now Mimi comes with 3 sets of hands, 2 gripping hands, 2 fists and 2 open hands, and you can easily pop the hands off. I'll just pop off the gripping hand there and put in one of the open hands, so you can get an idea of what they look like. See, there she is with her jazz hands. And here she is with her gripping hands, which are great for the 2 pistols that she comes with. As well as her being able to hold these pistols, she can also attach them to her belt with the holes. This is a system that was designed for the figures back in the day, which didn't really translate too well to the original toy line, but the guns with those holes will go on the pegs on the belts, so you can have them holstered like that, which looks pretty good. So she looks pretty cool with the guns holstered on a belt like that. But these guns also look really good with Jenny because they're a little bit smaller than the pistols that come with Deadeye and Bucky. They just kind of look a bit better and not too big and clumsy in the female character's hands. And I think that looks really good because even though Jenny does come with some kind of weapons, because she has those energy bolts that come out of her hand, I was a bit disappointed that she didn't have a gun, because she tended to use a gun more than her energy bolts in the cartoon and the comics. So I really like that Mimi's gun actually looks really good with Jenny, and because there's two of them, if you wanted to, you can still have one of the guns with Mimi, but then the other one with Jenny there. Now, another accessory, as you've probably seen, is the cap, which comes off. When you put it on, you need to just give it a tiny little extra press, and that kind of gives it a bit more friction to hold on there, because it does come off quite easily. But there is just about enough friction if you push that down that it's not going to fall off too easily. But that will go on either ear, because it's got these slits in the top there to accommodate going on either side that you might want it. And on top of that, she comes with two spare faces, and the faces come off really easily there. That's just kind of a neutral face. Then she's got one where she's given a bit of a grimace. It's got a bit of a tough look there. And the last face is a bit like one of the spare faces that came with Jenny, where she's giving a cheeky wink. There's a close-up of that face there, and then angry face. It's really great sculpt, based more on the comic book artwork than the cartoon. But in the cartoon, she did have a tuft of kind of blonde hair on the top of her head, but it'd be kind of difficult to accommodate that with the cap. I guess they could have given her the tuft of hair on one of her spare faces, so if you wanted to, you could choose to have a face on without her wearing the cap with the tuft of hair. But we only really saw her with the tuft of hair exposed before she became a captain, before she had the uniform, when she was just a rebel. So personally, I don't really miss it, but I've seen some people comment online that they wish that she had the tuft of blonde hair there. Now, the colours of the uniform are based on the comic, because in the cartoon her boots were black, and I think she had black gloves as well, but I much prefer the yellow and the red with the blue. It just looks so sort of vibrant and colourful. And I love the kind of star design on her boots there as well, kind of unique looking. You can see how the tail really helps her to balance there. But you can get some great poses out of her. Now, we've seen her next to Jenny, but here she is next to Bucky and Commander Dogstar, who were the captains of the other two ships in the fleet. So it's really nice to have all three of these now, because we never had Mimi in that original line. And she's quite a, even though she didn't make too many appearances in the cartoon and the comics, she's quite a sort of significant character if she's the third captain of the fleet. Now, sadly, we don't have Dogstar in the new toy line, so this is the vintage Dogstar toy, which I love the face sculpt on him. But the body always looked really weird to me, like the proportions of it. It looks kind of like he's a bit of a dwarf. So it would have been nice to get him in the new line. And here she is with the other good guy characters that we've had from Boss Fight Studios so far. Now, even though it would have been nice to have had Blinky to make up the crew of the Righteous Indignation, I do like getting characters that we haven't had toys of before, and especially one who is, as I say, kind of an important-ish character. And we do still have the Blinky from the vintage line that you can kind of use, even though he's a little bit big. He shouldn't really be that big. I don't know, maybe he got an upgrade. But he was always a bit too big, even in the vintage line, because the vintage line is the same size as these new figures. They are the same scale. So Blinky's always been a bit bigger than he should have been. I really love the design of these figures and how the comic book designs have really leapt out of the page with all the detailing that we see in these. And it's a shame that it doesn't look like there's going to be any more, because there haven't been any reveals from Boss Fight Studios for over a year now. And I did message them the other day asking if they had any more Bucky O'Hare figures planned, and they read the message but they didn't reply, which maybe I'm looking into it a bit too much, but I kind of got the feeling that meant they don't really have anything in the pipeline, but they don't necessarily want to officially say that yet. So there's probably still hope, otherwise they would have outright said, nah, we're not doing it anymore. But then also not confirming that they are going to make any more. I think that means that maybe the toy line is kind of on shaky ground, and I guess the situation this year hasn't helped unfortunately. And Bucky O'Hare isn't a massively popular line. I don't think it has a massive fan base, so in a way we're lucky to have gotten what we have. And I certainly don't regret getting these if this is all we get, because they do look quite good with the old toys as well, so you can kind of merge the two collections together. So thanks for joining me for this quick look at Boss Fight Studios' Mimi LaFloo from Bucky O'Hare, and I'll catch you in the next video.